Hello, this is Cam from the Brother Slim, and welcome to some more Oathsworn story time. I am one crispy individual, so sunburned from this weekend, and I am excited to be inside on this overcast day. No more sun for a little bit here for me. Yeah, so we are going to dive into Chapter 13, Contagion. We've got the map all set up. We are, once again, exploring the city of Varun. We've got the lovely time track here, and most things set up. And yeah, let's just tuck that up there just so everything fits a little bit better. Straighten that out. Sweet. Let's move this mic a little bit closer too. Perfecto, perfecto. Alrighty, so Chapter 13, Contagion. A hard rain patters against the window panes of the broken oak. The water quenches the memories of fire and screams of villagers in cages. With a week of rest between you and the Scar Tribe village, your wounds have had a chance to heal and your aches have lessened, thanks in no small part to Bram's ministrations. Some of his concoctions make for good aesthetics. Alright, so we've got Mystery Envelope B placed in the center of play and place our pre-company marker on location 7. Let's do that. We are at the Broken Oak. We're using the, not the Ranger, the Huntress today, their little mini. There we go, nice autumnal paint scheme. Boom, boom. Take the path card A, yep, Oathsworn. Place all injury cards back in the injury deck. Excuse me, that won't matter to us, doing our little story time. Okay. The crowds at the Oak have lessened since your return, with fewer patrons visiting the establishment every day. Word has spread of the deteriorating conditions throughout the city, and there is a growing sense of hopelessness. According to Grey Kane's network of whispers, there will soon be a council meeting with the king, and you will be summoned to attend. As your group shares a simple breakfast of ale and soft breads, that sounds like a great breakfast to me, Grey Kane regales you with the latest news from the chief apothecary. Spores, Grey Kane says with a puckered sneer, as if he had just kissed the wrong end of a horse. Ooh. That's how the plague spreads. The apothecaries say the infected have patches of spores all over their bodies. It's passed by touching them. He shivers at the thought. Get those things on you, and you are marked, man. If you have Gamel with you and the keyword Tam's Locket on your free company sheet, turn it to 7.6. We lost Gamel. If you have Gamel with you but do not have the lockets, okay, well, we do not have him with us, so 7.3 it is. Gamel was the blacksmith in the first city that we were in, if I recall correctly. And we had that sheet, but we lost him right before we actually got to do like a cool little story thing involving the killer of his son, which is too bad. Alright, 7.3. The atmosphere of the common room of the Broken Oak is solemn. Noting the tension, Grey Kane attempts to lighten the mood. Do you think we could entice more patrons into the Oak if we had a prettier face behind the bar? He wonders, eliciting an irksome look from Bram as he cleans a row of mugs. I mean, would you want to have to face... I don't know what to say. I mean, would you want to have to face that every time you walk through the door? Grey King continues, motioning toward the bartender. And then again, I suppose it encourages people to drink more. A little liquid courage to bear the sight. And put up with your shrieking lute. Let's not forget that, Bram quips. I thought you liked my melodious tunes, Grey King replies, feigning surprise. Only because they shut you up for a bit, Bram snaps back. As the two men continue their jams, the front door creaks slowly open, drawing everyone's attention. Quick, pour a drink for the man before he sees you, ... He begins to say to Bram before trailing off at the sight of the royal guard in the doorway. I bear a message from the king for the Oathsworn. The knight says, His Majesty summons you to the palace. Place location 28 and go there. Okay, 28, that we shall do. Go, and we shall go there. Done deal. And that's going to be 28.1. There we go. Wow. It's like 3 or 4 full pages, all dedicated to the number 28. Crazy. As you enter, the palace's throne room is buzzing with conversation and speculation. Every noble knight and lord in the city has been summoned, including 3 or 4 additional free companies. With only a few dozen still serving throughout the realm, the presence of more than one free company is a rare sight. Settling into a quiet viewing place, you mark the other Oathsworn, the Brothers of the Wolf, the Ebon Company, the Ironclad, and even the infamous Red Watch, huddled together in a group. All have an impressive tally worthy of respect. You return a nod to the leader of the Ironclad and move your gaze to the king. Wonder if we'll see them later. Flanked by a small cadre of watchers, as usual, the boy king sits resplendent upon his throne in full battle gear. This would be no ordinary council meeting. The young king silences the crowd with a simple gesture of his gold-trimmed gauntlet. Lords and ladies, the crown thanks you for coming at such short notice. I wish to dispense with formalities and get to the heart of the matter. Barum is in peril. Our efforts to stay the plague ravaging our city have failed, and the quarantine lines are on the verge of collapse. I'm afraid if we do not find a solution quickly, the city will descend into chaos and ruin. We stand at the precipice. The crowd murmurs with anxious exchanges, eliciting another raised hand from the king. I have ordered all free companies to return to Varum immediately as we make plans for what must be our last stand, our last hope. The king rises from his throne, stretching his armored hand toward your group. Thanks to our Oathsworn, we have discovered the origin of humanity's greatest nightmare, the heart of the Deepwood. All eyes turn towards you, stunned gasps, and chatter fill the great hall. It is believed that by cutting the heart from these cursed woods, we can stop the plague and rid the world of the choking hand the Deepwood has had around our throats for generations. It will not come without pain and death. This heart of darkness is surrounded by monstrosities and creatures beyond counting. We will have to fight our way through them if we hope to succeed. Choose one. Ask about how the city can be stabilized. Mention that a keening can draw the monsters from the heart of darkness. Suggest that the Adendry of Green Streets may be able to help. I'm thinking keening. Let's go with number 2. So we're going to go to 28.27. So we get some tokens if we're playing the full game, and we go back to 28.18. There we go. If the city is to be saved, you know the best hope lies within the heart of darkness. Stepping forward, you recount your experience in Bastogne to the assembly, telling them of the event which occurred just before the Deepwood came to life and the city was sacked. You explain how the keening of the witch was like a beacon to the creatures of the forest, and how they were drawn from miles around by her psychic howl. You suggest the same death cries might be used to lure the beast besieging the heart of darkness, thus clearing the way for a band of warriors to slip past. After conferring with the dark-robed watchers, the king makes his decision. So be it! We will abide by the counsel of the heroes of Bastogne and create this keening. We will then send forth a great crusade into the heart of darkness and root out this foul plague from our lands. By this great undertaking, we shall save our people, our city, and all of humanity. As the king finishes his speech, the Lord Inquisitor rushes forward. My king, I'm afraid the dungeons within Blackrock do not currently hold any witches. All reports of witchcraft these last few weeks have only yielded rumors. I'm afraid there are no prisoners with the taint. Okay, so we got a couple different things here. Very interesting. So we have been using the Warden. I guess I need to pick and choose who it would have. It would probably be the normal crew of Hobithor, Penitent, the Blade, and then it would be a wild card between the Witch or the Warden. We'll say it's the Witch. That just seems thematic for this one. So we have Lysine. No, was it the Warden? Let me just figure that out again. I don't think it would have been the Warden. Yeah, we'll see we got the Witch, no Warden. That makes sense. Okay, so this is going to be the Lysine and the Witch but not the Warden turn to 28.38, so that we shall do 28.38. The dungeons beneath Blackrock may not hold any witches. However, your free company has a pair of them whom you have kept secret up to this point. With humanity's survival on the line, you can continue. Can you continue to protect them, or will you sacrifice your battle sisters and offer them up for the keening? Secret decision here. Set your die to 1 if you wish to volunteer your witch. Set your die to 2 if you wish to volunteer Lysine. Set your die to 3 if you volunteer both witches. Okay, so I think we'll leave this up to dice rolls. We will re-roll 5 and 6s. Or, you know what, I guess we just need to do No, okay, so there are... Let's just roll for each character in the party here. I think that makes more sense than just doing one die. Okay, so first character is a 3, so someone wants to volunteer both witches. And then next character, we'll re-roll that, because it's a 5. Re-roll that, because it's a 6. Okay, also a 3, so we got 2 votes for both. Someone votes for no one. And lastly, someone wishes to just volunteer Lysine. Okay, so most applicable option from top to bottom. So if the witch has set her die to 1, which was not the case, we didn't have any ones. And we don't have anyone who set their die just to 1s. If half or more players have set their die to 1 or 3, so we have 2 3s, so that's going to be at 28.4. Okay. I think Lysine and our witch just got conscripted for something probably awful. Oh. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. I think I might, yeah, I think I'm gonna just veto the story thing, because I really like Lysine, and she's, oh, yeah, I'm gonna volunteer just our witch. I can't do that to Lysine, she was cool. Okay, so, yeah, let's do this instead. Okay, so 28.5. Okay, so, yeah, we're not gonna leave it up to the dice, we're going to just volunteer the witch. Yeah, I can't do that to Lysine. We saved her, she helped save us, and she was undeserving of what she went through. Your witch steps before the assembled crowd. I volunteer. The words send a shock down your spine as all eyes turn to your companion. Muffled chatter rises as the Lord Inquisitor calls for your witch to be shackled immediately. You share a pleading stare with your battle sister. Thank you, Oathsworn, praises the king. Your sacrifice is most honorable, but I would not permit such a valuable asset to be wasted so readily. I am told there is still time to locate others of your kind, and if what you say is true, we will need far more than just a single witch. We should exhaust every other resource before considering such a heavy cost. Interesting. With a raised gauntlet, the king silences the crowd again. Anyone who would sacrifice themselves for the good of the realm is no enemy of the crown, he says. This woman is already a hero to us all. Therefore, she is now under my protection, Lord Inquisitor. I would have you personally ensure no harm comes to her. I freaking love this king. He's pictured in art earlier in, I think, one of the previous chapters, and he looks like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. So the immediate vibe is, oh no, evil, evil boy king, but this guy's just like a saint. The crowd erupts with whispers and more than a few snide remarks. While the king may be the highest authority in the realm, his power resides in the recognition and adherence to tradition. To openly protect a witch flies in the face of not only those traditions, but also goes against the teachings of the church. The young monarch will almost assuredly lose support for the jester, yet he nods proudly at your witch. Yeah, good man. 28.10. Standing before his throne, the king addresses the assembly once more. I hereby order each free company in the realm to hunt and collar every witch they can find. No rumor shall be dismissed and no quarter given. We must scour the lands. It is a bloody task, and not one I command lightly. But I am certain that if I do not, I would be ensuring the deaths of thousands and the loss of our great city. You shall have until the new moon. At that time, we shall march into the heart of darkness. Witches or not, we have only one chance to succeed. Failure is an option. King Spaghetti. Did you have the Lady Alana, which we do, 28.22. What is she up to? Last time we saw her, she was killing someone at night and being all sus about it. 28.22. Perform a spot check. Alright, 28.17. Flippy. As the assembled crowd reacts to the king's decree, you spot a familiar face mixed in with the others present. Alana shifts nervously as she speaks with her noble acquaintances. The young woman has been avoiding you since the incident in her room, spending less and less time at the Broken Oak. You resolve to speak with her after your audience with the king. Suddenly, you notice the subtle impression of concealed weapons strapped to each of her thighs. Thin profile blades, such as those required for concealment, do not come cheap and are certainly not the kind of weapon a local blacksmith could supply. Token 4. We gain clue token 4. Let's just put that there. We got clue token 4. Turn to 28.29. Calling an end to the council, the king departs with the watchers in tow. Almost immediately, Guard Captain Trent calls out to you, waving you over to where he stands. I have no reservation telling you, the room is on the brink of collapse, he says. Order must be restored, otherwise there won't be a city left to save. The captain's words ring with truth. If a room falls into chaos before you have a chance to eradicate the plague, all will be for naught. You ask the captain what must be done. There is a free company called the Stone Dogs who are well known for their connections throughout all levels of society here, he tells you. They could be of great assistance in our efforts to maintain peace within the city walls. However, they've been missing for some time. I'm not aware of them traveling elsewhere or falling in the Deepwood, so they must be somewhere in the city. Barum may be a massive city, but a whole free company cannot just disappear here. If you find them, we may be able to quiet the calls for rebellion and buy some time. You nod in understanding and consider what must have become of the missing Oathsworn. Before the captain takes his leave, he offers a final bit of advice. Be mindful of the green streets. The Adendri have barricaded themselves in. Something is not right there. It seems you have plenty to worry about at the moment. A city on the verge of collapse, rumors of a missing free company, and suspicious Adendri. You can feel it's going to be one of those days. Place an unused hit point die in the middle of the table and set it to 1. This die represents the morale in the city. You need to increase it to take the pressure off the city. Okay, cool. So we'll hit... Boom, boom, there we go. 1. And then we need to move a bunch of locations. Okay, let's get these out here. So we got 22. Alright, here we go. So we have Lady Lana, which we do in Clue Token 4, turn to 28.33. Let's do so. Lose Clue Token 4. It's gone. As you descend the steps of the palace entryway, you spot Alana hurriedly crossing the courtyard. This is your best opportunity to confront her. Exiting the royal estate, you shadow the woman through the noble quarters, your mind sifting through the strange events that have surrounded her. The blood on the cloth in her room, the way she seems to vanish without a trace, the daggers you noticed hidden beneath her dress. How she has always wanted to be close to the king. Following her down a side alley, you call out her name, and Alana turns with a demure smile. Have you come to escort a lady across the city? For the briefest moments, you swear there was a flit of danger in her eyes, but it is gone in a flash. With a serious glare, you confront Alana about her strange behavior, telling her you believe she conceals some hidden motive. She seems genuinely astonished by your She seems genuinely astonished by your insinuations, insulted even. How can you say such things? She gasps. I nearly died fleeing Bastogne. I've lost everything and everyone who ever mattered to me. I'm barely acknowledged by these entitled curs who call themselves nobility. Now you accuse me of what exactly? Perhaps she is right. Being so on edge, is it possible you were seeing danger where there is none? Would you truly question a woman of such noble bearing? On the other hand, your suspicions have kept you alive this long. There is no sense in doubting them now. Okay, cool. And we have an Abi, so we are going to say that we succeed for the sake of story. 28.24. Okay. Your avian eyes peer deep into Alana's. In your mind's eye, you catch glimpses of her fate, woven through a miasma of time and space. You watch as a dagger flies from her hand, stabbing towards your heart. You see the young king lying in a pool of blood. With a shiver, your senses leap to another skein in reality. The same dagger rockets towards you again. No matter where you search, all paths lead to the same moment. A flying dagger, the boy king, blood pooling beneath his corpse, and Varum burning in ruin. Waking from your vision, you see Alana's once demure countenance now red with rage, the veil of a noble woman lifted at last. Informed by your premonition, you dodge her attack before the dagger has hardly left her hand. As the weapons fly past, your talon claw clutches her by her throat and slams her body to the ground. Okay, well, so now we get some options. We can choose release her, take her to Black Rock Prison, or kill her. So, interesting. We've gotten the jump on her pretty good right now, but she seems like a capable individual. So the easy thing would be focus on everything else going on and just kill her and not worry about whatever business she's been up to and who she's with, or we take her to the prison. I think let's take her to the prison. 28.32. You would like nothing more than to get to the bottom of this matter, but there is no time. The city's on the verge of collapse, and your help is paramount to averting disaster. Binding her at the wrists, you escort Alana toward Black Rock Prison. Along the way, you come across a squad of guards who seem to be heading in the same direction. We're going to escort her ourselves. We got to escort her ourselves or let the guards take her. So yeah, definitely option 1 there. 28.21. You know what? I think I am going to actually... Never mind. I'm going to go back. I'm going to kill her. Just because I forgot how a lot of this book works. It kind of gives you hints at things to come, potentially. And being Yavi, we've seen the future, and it said all futures with her lie to a flying dagger at the Boy King and his corpse. So I think at the end of the day, we might be sealing the old premonition thing of what you see, you make a reality from trying to prevent it. But I think if we leave her alive, it would... I don't know. Let's leave her alive. We'll stick with it. So we're gonna escort her. So 28.21. Alright, so we do take time doing this. Add a time token to the track. There we go. I think, is it still... Oh, there we go. My hand is there. It glitched out pretty severely there for me, but that's okay. Okay, cool. You follow the jailers down into the dungeons beneath Black Rock Prison, ensuring Alana is securely locked up. With her safely behind bars, you take a closer look at the dagger she had. Its ornate craftsmanship and design and are unmistakable for one with a knowledge of blades. It's a Thracian kiss, the favorite weapon of the Assassin's Guild in Thrace. Ooh, gain the Thracian kiss common item from the Chapter 15 common item deck. Write the keyword Kingsguard on your free company sheet. Archive Ally 13, Lady Lana. Interesting. Okay, I just need to grab a few things. Okay, so we've got King Killer. Let's see, do I have a pencil here? A pen will suffice. Okay, so we've got King's Guard now. King's Guard, and we do have King Killer. That was way back in Chapter 1. Let's see, common items, that's Chapter 16. I wonder if they're, let's see, are they in here? Let's just take a look at Thracian Kiss here and see what it looks like. I guess may as well show them off here just for fun. So these are common items from a future chapter. Pelt robes, Heartwood bow. These ones look really cool. Witchwood staff looks awesome. Book of monsters, double axe, Thracian kiss. Let's take a little look-see. When you critical during an attack that hits, battle 1 cards. That's pretty awesome. Really cool looking artwork too. Ooh, Conqueror's plate. That looks freaking sweet too. Anyways, back to those stuff. They're not for us now. I'm not going to bother grabbing the dagger just because it's just a story thing. Okay, so we've gained that. We've gained the Kingsguard keyword. And so we do have that. The King Killer we do, so turn to 28.6. The pieces are starting to fit now. Alana was obviously an operative from the Thracian Assassins Guild, and a deeply entrenched spy, presumably tracking back all the way to the mysteriously discarded Thracian mask found by the wall outside Bastogne. She must have infiltrated Bastogne as a noble's ward, then made her way to her room under your protection. Once here, she most likely set out gathering information from the city's defenses and the palace's weaknesses, with it all culminating in her confrontation today. You may not yet know who she was sent to kill, but her guild is known only to deal in high-value targets. However, that must all wait for the time being. There are more pressing matters you must deal with immediately, namely, bringing order to the city and finding witches for the keening. Choose a location to go to. Cool. Well, I think that was well worth the little bit of time spent there. Okay, so the Banksmith, not really too concerned about that. Raven Spire would be interesting too, but I think let's start with the Apothecary. Oh, you know what? I wonder if Lycine's the Apothecary. I think we might start there. Let's do that. So let's go to the Apothecary first. So reading 6.1. The macabre scene at the Apothecary turns your stomach. What had once been a shop full of herbs and ointments has become an abattoir. You find a number of herbalists resecting samples of flesh from deceased plague victims, while others examine bodies. Shocked so many would dare touch the afflicted, one of the apothecaries informs you they have recently learned the plague dies with the host, and the dead are no longer infectious. Looking around the shop, you notice people in different stages of the affliction. Some have only a few black spots on their skin, while others have huge branch-like protrusions or whitish-yellow mushrooms hanging off their bodies in clumps. Ooh. Looking over the different bodies, one in particular catches your attention. The woman is completely overgrown by some form of bark, almost like a suit of armor. You can only imagine that fighting such a thing is hard and will need some well-timed stabs to get into the cracks between the armor. Interesting. Okay, so that wasn't really useful. Let's check out the gutters. Let's go to 17. 17.1. Arriving at the former riverbed bisecting the city, you find long lines of refugees fleeing the muddy basin. There's an evacuation underway. Speaking with one of the attending guards, you learn that piles of hay and sacks of amber are going to be stacked down there. Apparently, they plan to set the gutters on fire if the quarantine should break. Good to know as well. Well, in that case, we got Blackrock and we've got the Ravenspire. I think let's go to Blackrock first. No, let's go to Ravenspire first. So 22 over here. 22.1. An ominous blue haze floats in the air around the Ravenspire. The amber torches and braziers. Oh, I think that might be the first time I've said that right first try. Dear diary, jackpot. Dotting its stone exterior, add a gritty and a maleficence to its bearing, which only grows more unsettling as you approach the tower gates. A pair of dark iron golems stand watch at either side of the closed portcullis. Lifeless eyes dart out from behind their dark face guards. The scene here is all but unaffected by the epidemic ravaging the city. Standing before the gates, you are greeted by a serf of some kind, bald-headed with bleached white skin. The man seems to already have one foot in the grave. After explaining your purpose, you are denied entry. However, the serf agrees to pass your request along to his masters. A short time later, the serf returns, handing you an open scroll displaying an Oathsworn mark. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, cool. My masters were presented with this petition by a warden of the Inquisition. It is a requisition for assignment of a free company, the Stone Dogs. No other details were offered. It seems the specifics were only to be provided to the Oathsworn by the petitioning warden himself. Gain clue token 1. So we'll put a 1 up in the corner. If you also have clue token 2, turn to something else, which we don't. So choose a location to go to. Blackrock it is, and we shall be reading 20.1. Flipping back a few pages. The fortress known as Blackrock Prison towers before you. Once the residence of the royal family, the castle is now headquarters to the Inquisition and home to Varroom's dungeons. The castle draws its name from the miniature mountain of Blackrock that it was constructed upon centuries ago. Volcano! Your oath marks grant you passage onto the premises, where you were promptly greeted by the prison's governor, an inquisitor who was only too eager to flaunt the vastness of the sprawling, inescapable web of dungeons he commands. Allow me to show you, Oathsworn, how the other hand of the king's might operates, the inquisitor declares. He leads you down into the first block of dark, damp dungeons, waving a gloved hand at row upon row of heavy dark iron doors. Interrogation cells! I have overseen the confessions of thousands during my tenure here. Few inquisitors can match proficiency in duty as I have. As the inquisitor leads you deeper into the prison's depths, a terrified scream echoes from the corridor ahead. If you have a witch and a warden, turn to 20.3. If you have a witch and no warden, which is us. Okay, so 20.10. You got the witch, but no warden. There is no place in the world you would rather avoid than this forsaken hellhole. Unfortunately, if you tried to scheme some excuse to remain outside, it might only draw unwanted suspicion, so you have no choice but to follow your group down into the belly of the beast. A shiver runs down your spine as the cold amber-lit hallway stirs memories you had hoped for long forgotten. Turn to 20.4. The Inquisitor leads you ever deeper into the dungeons, down through the cell blocks with normal prisoners, deeper and deeper into the bowels of Blackrock. Finally, you reach the inquisitorial level. Our cells are unfortunately empty at the moment, the Inquisitor tells you. We are diligently interrogating suspected witches, however we have found none thus far. We will not fail in our mandates, I can assure you. Allow me to show you something else most interesting. He brings you to a lightless circular chamber where a man is being strung up by his wrists, hanging over a vast pit. Kicking a small stone, you wait for the sound of it reaching the bottom, but the sound never comes. The Inquisitor smiles at you, then motions toward a small sconce where a burning candle tickles at the rope holding the prisoner above the abyss. Notice the arrangement of jars around the room, he says, pointing towards several glass containers that sit in evenly spaced intervals around the chamber. They contain most of the known elements witches manipulate with their abilities. This ritual allows us to not only verify the taint upon one's soul, but also determine the nature of their affinities. The flame at the rope is merely used to encourage brevity. Nothing brings out the malefic quite like the threat of death. Oh, that's dark. Also, just totally a take on real-life witch trials back in the day. Peering into the endless pits, you imagine what happens to those who fail to display powers. Choose one. Remark on the cruelty of this. Just ask about the missing free company. Point out your enthusiasm for this process. I think pointing out enthusiasm could get this guy to spill more beans. I don't think we're going to mark on the cruelty of this. You know what? Let's see where that goes. Let's see if we can poke him and pretend we're stoked on this. 20.2. Ah, yes, he says with an excited grin. The process has been refined over decades. We can now identify every witch brought to us, both accurately and expeditiously. As he escorts you from the chamber, you broach the subject of the missing free company. Well then, let's see what we can find regarding these stone dogs, he says, pushing the heavy iron door shut behind you. Suddenly, you hear the fading screams of the man you saw as he plunges into the pit. Gain tokens and turn to 20.9. Okay. Searching through stacks of logbooks and records, the Inquisitor finds no mention of the stone dogs. He does, however, find an entry by a warden around the time the free company went missing. As he reads the handwritten note, his eyes go wide with shock. This warden states he has gone on a recovery mission. He gasps. How can this be possible? No one escapes Blackrock. The entry goes on to speak of a witch this warden had apprehended named Marcella. Apparently at the time of this event, she was the only witch in custody beneath Blackrock. gain clue token 2. So dang, we should have come here first before going to the Ravenspire. Alas. Oh, interesting. If you also have clue token 1, turn to 20.7. Okay. Let's do that. 20.7. Putting together what you know, it seems the stone dogs were contracted by this warden to aid in the recapture of the witch. Further questioning of the guards outside Blackrock reveals they were the last heading northwest. A witch could hide in any number of places throughout Varoom, but you have a few ideas where to look first. Whatever happens, there is a missing free company, and escaped witch must be found quickly. Place locations 2, 5, and 12. Okay, 2, 5, and 12. Cool. There we go. So I think before we go and check either of those out, we are going to go to the Green Streets and see what's going on up there. So let's go ahead and do that unless there's anything else here. Choose a location to go, so let's do that. So Green Streets. 4.1. Way back to the beginning. A towering wall of naturally grown wood and spikes rises before you, enclosing the Edendry sector in a living barricade. Hundreds of human corpses lie at the base of the structure, many still clutching weapons in their cold, dead hands. Patrolling the top of the wall are dozens of rangers, each with arrows nocked in their self-grown bows, scanning the streets for threats. Things seem to have escalated quickly here. The Edendry would not have left with no option, would have been left with no option but to defend themselves. As you draw near, all arrows quickly turn toward you, prepared to fire. Suddenly, one of the rangers relaxes her aim and is soon followed by the others. A stream of yellow spores float behind the wall to the ground below, and a section of the wall peels back, opening a doorway to the green streets beyond. An awaiting ranger waves you in. It seems that your noble gesture of returning Guide's body to her people has secured your standing among the Edendry, allowing you to freely walk among them now. Sweet, that's what I was hoping for. 4.2. As you walk the verdant neighborhoods, you find the green streets have changed dramatically since you were last here. The once peaceful nature reserve has been transformed into heavily fortified barracks. Rows of small bioformed structures line several streets, each housing injured Edendry warriors. Heavily impacted plague districts. No, I skipped line. Rangers patrolling the western walls adjacent to the Varoom's most heavily impacted plague districts fire arrows after arrow down toward infected citizens, threatening the safety of this living cityscape. You find it hard to fault their defensive posture, considering the rampant xenophobia and heightened anxiety caused by the plague's deadly touch. These people are refugees in a city which wants little to do with them, and they have nowhere else to turn. What can they do but defend what little territory they have left in this world? Simply uprooting is not an option for them. If you have the Broken Ranger ally, we do not have the Broken Ranger, so we're going to go to 4.4. Having escaped the dictatorship of the Witchwood's matriarch, the Edendry refugees have opted for a more democratic form of governance in the Green Streets. Using the knock, you were able to secure an audience with the Elder Council. Your command of the knock has improved since your last Edendry encounter, and serves you well during your diplomatic visit here. Hoping to get to the heart of the matter, you ask the council why it has sealed off the area from the rest of the city behind a massive wall. They explain the harsh treatment they have experienced since the coming of the plague by Varoom's populace. Because the pandemic has had no effect on the Edendry, most humans blame them for the pestilence killing them. The harassment has taken a toll, not only on morale, but also in loss of life. Escorting you to what could only be described as a graveyard, they show just how severe the toll has been. Lining the base of their towering wooden barricade are row upon row of beautiful white flowers, each representing an Edendry life lost to the violence. We surrounded, we need help. One of the elders tap. Will you observe our danger? Let's observe the western wall. Turn to 4.5. From the top of the western wall, you overlook what once was also, so it gave us the two options, western or eastern wall to be observed. You overlook what was once a vibrant part of the city. Now it is known as the Plague District. The stench of death and decay is suffocating. Fires smolder on every street with charred corpses and plague victims scattered about. Some appear to still be moving. Your Dendry host tells you how the infected have been trying to break through the walls here as well. The plague has somehow changed them, and individuals mindlessly attack the wall with branch and bone. Rangers search plague streets for survivors, Nelder knocks. Attacked, now trapped. You are friend to a Dendry. Will you help find rangers? Looking down into the plague-ridden district, you are loath to consider the dangers of setting foot in this stinking hellhole. However, helping them get their warriors back would go a long way to easing race relations. The plague is said to only spread through contract, and you have long weapons to defend yourselves with. Still, the trip would be a perilous one. Place location 3. King's Gate. Okay. Let's take a look at the eastern wall. So 4.6. You hear the angry shouting before you even reach the eastern wall. Looking down from the ramparts, you observe a mob of humans hurling promises of violence as they wave amber torches and makeshift weapons at the rangers lining the top of the barricade. The crowd appears to be maintaining a safe distance for the time being, but you know these walls will not hold if they find enough courage or desperation to charge. Place location 9. Okay, so yeah, things are looking pretty dire in this city. It's not looking good. Tavern. If you have observed both walls, turn to 4.3. That we shall do. There are certainly opportunities to help calm the city's tensions. The mob assailing the eastern wall has no idea the green streets are acting as a bulwark protecting them from the plague, and the Dendry's natural immunity allows them to guard the plague district's borders, ensuring it does not spread. Perhaps explaining this to the angry humans would diffuse the situation. There is also the matter of the missing Dendry rangers. If the rescue party has found human survivors, this act may help put an end to the aggression Verm's people are exhibiting toward the Dendry. Ooh. How much can we help these people? This is tricky. In a perfect world, we go and rescue the rangers and find some human survivors, and that'll lend credence to going back and talking to the townsfolk. Let's do it. Let's do that. So let's go boom boom. And we are still on path A, so that's going to be 3.1. As you make your way into the neighborhood nearest the King's Gate by way of the green streets, the rancid stench smashes you in the face. The once vibrant place, bursting with life, has fallen into disarray and death. You quietly move through the area, observing the infected bodies scattered throughout. The suffering is nothing like what you witnessed only a few moons ago. The skin of the condemned civilians has been ruptured by sharp roots and black veins branched just beneath the surface of their contorted expressions. Those with the most advanced deformities show signs of vast fungal growth, with mushrooms protruding from their backs and limbs. Some are still alive and stagger with an awkward motion as they move along the street. How could they live with such injuries? Keeping your distance, you slip deeper into the district. Ooh, creepy. Around a corner, you find a mob of infected clawing at the walls of a small building. Bodies are piled in the doors and windows of the simple home, but the plague-ridden creatures press against them, desperately trying to reach whatever lies inside. Suddenly, you see a spray of arrows take down the front rank of the infected. As the bodies fall, you catch sight of Dendry rangers crouched inside, knocking arrows into their branch-like bows. This must be the missing group you've learned of. They are thankfully alive, but pinned down. You wonder why they did not simply scale the building and climb the walls to escape. Then you see the reason. Huddled behind the rangers is a cohort of injured human survivors. The Dendry had chosen to stay and defend them rather than flee. As you approach, you watch as an Dendry looses a full-drawn arrow right into the face of an infected. The thing explodes in a shower of spores. The spores thankfully missing nearby humans. You must act fast. Choose one. Charge the horde from the rear and cut your way through them. 2. Set a nearby cart aflame to hopefully scare them off. 3. Try to sneak around the back and cut a hole into the rear of the house. Okay. So we've been told that hitting them will expunge spores, and spores is how we get infected, so we don't love that. Let's just try to move quick and sneak around back and cut a hole in the rear of the house. Let's do that. So turn to 3.9. Leave and don't come back here is also the fourth option. But we want to try and save them. 3.9. Ducking down the back alley, you traverse the rubble and debris of the former buildings and eventually arrive at what you believe is the rear of the small house. Inspecting the structure, you search for weak points. Alrighty, cool. So 3.5. With weapons and fists, you batter and claw at the wall. Trunks fly and the wall begins to come apart. Seizing the moment, you take a run up and drive your shoulder through the wall, collapsing a hole large enough to squeeze through. Blinking through the dust, you see the shocked faces of survivors, while the Edendry Rangers battle a fresh wave of infected who have regrouped with a renewed savageness. Seizing the moment, you drag the humans out through the newly renovated rear wall just as the front door caves in. The Rangers are forced to give ground and immediately aid you with moving the survivors out of the quarantine district. Before long, you are back in the relative safety of the green streets. Hopefully, word of your actions will soon spread and restore some measure of hope to the beleaguered city. Increase the morality die by 1 to a maximum of 6, so we go up to 2. Morality. Yay! Alright, choose location. Let's go to the tavern. So number 9. 9.1. Whoops. There we go. 9.1. A mob of irate locals has gathered at the tavern, passing weapons and torches out as they mutter insults and curses aimed at the Edendry. This seems to be the rallying point for the crowd as they prepare to exact their ill-conceived vengeance upon the refugees of the Witchwood. Entering the establishment, you seek out the band's leader and are directed toward a tall, balding man with a long beard called Carlum. "Are you here to help us, Oathsworn?" Carlum says as you approach. "Will the heroes of Bastogne stand by the people and help us expunge the Edendry scourge from our city once and for all?" Choose one. Listen to what they have to say. Help burn down the green streets. Convince them the folly of their plans. Okay. I think let's listen to what they have to say and then try to convince them the folly of their plans. So 9.7. Carlum rattles off a well-rehearsed litany of accusations, each winding its way back to the green streets. "Have you noticed they're conveniently immune to the disease?" he asks. "What else are we to think? They're clearly in league with the Deepwood. We die while they hide behind their new wall. And who are they to wall off territory in our city? No, my friends, we will not stand by and let them take the city from us. This is Varum and the liberation of her people." Or this is for Varum. Alright, so we're going to try to convince them the folly of their ways. Turn to 9.6. The fact that you've listened to their grievances seems to have earned you the opportunity to speak. You proceed to explain... I wonder if we wouldn't have been able to if we didn't hear them out. You proceed to explain what you've learned so far in hopes of swaying their belief. Cool. So we don't need to... Oh, so we could have come here first. Reasoning check, and you add 2 to the result if location 3 is not on the map. So because we had location 3, it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, 9.4. You direct your words to the gathered mob rather than to Carlum, explaining how it was the Edendry who treated the infected when the plague was first discovered, not the mendicants. You tell them of your journey to the Witchwood and of Guide's brave sacrifice, as well as her efforts to help find a cure. The truth is, the Edendry are the only reason the city has not already been overrun by the plague. When your speech is finished, only Carlum and a few lowlights remain. You send them running with a quick flash of your weapons. Increase the morality die by 1. To a maximum of 6. Where is 3 on this die? I think I've been everywhere but 3. Oh my goodness. There we go. 3. First try. Gain clue token 3. There we go. We'll put a clue token 3 up there. Okay, so now we have the cobbles, the markets, the underways, Banksmith, and barracks. I think let's do the cobbles. Let's go to 2. 2.1. Okay, we haven't been to the cobbles. So if you've not been to the cobbles, turn to 2.3. Massive barricades of timber and charred bodies block every inroad to the cobbles. The situation here has grown far more serious since your last visit to the Plague District. Even the homes adjacent to the area appear vacant. No one wishes to watch their neighbors slowly die. The only access to the area is through the quarantine line set up by the city guards between the underways and the inner city wall. Talking to the guards, you learn the circumstances are now dire. The infected. They're not human no more. They've changed into something else, one of them tells you. That's not the worst of it, though, another adds. A few days ago, they started coming in waves. Each time we kill one, there's 2 more to take their place. Been attacking the line like that ever since. The guards have no intention of stopping you from heading into the plague-ridden district. Your Orthmark is permission enough. Questioning the guards about stone dogs, you learn the Free Company was seen during a skirmish here just one day back. Few guards saw them on the other side of the infected masses, deep in the cobbles. If the stone dogs were somewhere in the plague district, perhaps they are still alive. There is only one way to find out. But should you risk your lives hunting a neighborhood with legions of infected? So that's a pretty clear tell that they're probably there. Maybe we'll go back, because I think that seems to be the choice. Let's check out... Okay, leave the cobbles for now. So 2.1. Or 2.10. Specification 2. Okay, so we get 2, puts this back, and put a time token in its place. It's pretty cool. And then we're going to go to the underway, so let's do this. Ooh, go to 30.1 in the storybook, so let's do that first. 30.1. The massive bell set up near the King's Gate bellows through the city, halting you in your tracks. Soon, others chime, rising in their fervency. You've become accustomed to hearing their droning cacophony since the plague began, but nothing like this. There is panic in these rings, and it can only mean one thing. The barricades have been breached. By the numbers of bells ringing at the moment, it sounds like they've been breached everywhere. Okay, so we don't have the keyword pruning on the Free Company sheet. You have clue token 3. You know what? No, we've gone into this. Let's not retcon anything. So clues token 3. Let's turn to 30.20. The Plague District borders 3 areas of the city: the Green Streets and both the north and the west gate of the inner city. Should the Green Streets fall, the entire outer ring of the northeast side of the city will be overrun, potentially wiping out the Dendry. If the western gate falls, the Market District will be flooded. It has become the most densely packed part of the city since many of the refugees from the Plague District have taken shelter there. Finally, there is the north gate near the Broken Oak, your own home and that of your companions. All this, and you can only defend one of them. Defend the Broken Oak and your companions, go to the market to defend the masses there, help defend the Green Streets. So I think we've helped the Green Streets as much as we can for now. The Broken Oak does have a series of stalwart companions, so I think we'll leave them to defend for themselves, which sounds bad, but let's go to the market and defend the masses there. 30.11, 30.11. Okay, place your Free Company marker on location 13. There we go. And I still have 5 here, although we weren't able to actually go there, so I'll just put it there for now. Okay, Paragon, we need to write on our Free Company sheet another keyword. Good goal. Okay, so what do we have here? The market is filled with tense and panicked people. Hopping onto a large crate, you command everyone to move deeper into the city, away from the approaching mob of infected. As the press of bodies squeezes through the streets leading away, you can hear the wails of the infected heading towards the gate. You have to buy these people time. Okay, 30.14. This is where you will hold them. Evaluating the quarantine for weaknesses, you formulate a plan to bolster your position, adding men or obstacles wherever you find gaps. Check the number on the morale die. So we have 3. It turned to 30.17. While reinforcing the defense lines, you notice more and more hands pitching in to help. Healthy human hands. Looking around, you see throngs of room citizens, sending huge planks of timber in place, or standing ready to fight with weapons. In between quick glances at the advancing horde, most eyes fall on you, the heroes. Seeing the determination in their eyes gives you hope that the city may yet survive. Hopping on the back of a broken cart, you shout orders to the assembled defenders and steel them for the fight to come as a light rain begins to fall on the city. Mark additional unique item on the Free Company sheet. Cool. The infected hit the barricade in a crashing wave of unnatural life. Roots and fungus, teeth and bone meet iron and mankind's will to survive. Cool. Okay. So we don't have a tracker die next to the morale die. You do not have a tracker die. next to it. Place a tracker token next to the morale die and set it to 1. So now we have 2 things going on. So this is a tracker die, and then we'll have set to 1, whatever that is. Your small band of warriors absorbs the charge and holds the line as the battle rages on. Okay, 30.6. In the height of the battle, not the bottle. In the height of the battle, you spot a twisted infected lumbering toward you. Its thick black limbs and vines slash through the air, searching for victims as you call out a warning, prepare for its assault. Use fire to fend it off. Try to dodge its attack. We do have a witch. Fire is really dangerous in cities, though, so let's try to dodge its attack. 30.4. You attempt to dodge the storm of flailing vines, but the whipping limbs are too fast and they quickly wrap around your legs. Trapped, you are left with no choice but to cut the beast down and hack your way through. Ooh, a sticky ichor coats your armor as you finally strike the creature down. Increase the tracker die next to the morale die by 1. There we go, it becomes 2. Turn to 30.2. As an even larger creature suddenly steps into the fray, its hulking form resembling what could have once been a man. Thick chunks of bark hang all over its body like plate armor. Let's find a place to stab it. 30.10. You notice the huge plates of bark have large gaps between them, and with a few expertly positioned jabs, you pierce its soft underflesh, quickly bringing the monster down. Turn to 30.3. Fighting on, you see a tight group of infected beings running toward you at full speed. Each appear to have strange bulbous mushroom groups all over their bodies. Ooh, okay. I think this one we're going to try to fend off with fire. We don't want to charge towards them. I think dodging is not going to work. Let's fend them off with fire. 30.22. Swinging your torch at them, they burst into a roaring inferno, falling at your feet. Oh no! Just for fun, I'm gonna check something. So let's finish reading this first. Swinging your torch at them, they burst into a roaring inferno, falling at your feet. Suddenly, their bodies explode in a shower of black spores and guts, completely engulfing you. Gasping for air, you can feel the diseased spores entering your body. Oh no! So then tracker die goes up to 3. There we go. Oh, okay, we don't love that, that's for sure, but I am just kind of curious. If we didn't do that, what else would happen? Yeah, I know. I'm curious, I'm totally lost where I just came from, but it doesn't matter. I was curious if all outcomes lead to getting the spores or not. 30.18. Oh, interesting. Very, very interesting. You know what? No, I've made my bed. I've been touched by the spores. That is the way it is. So I did go back to check, and 30.12, sidestepping the grotesque charge, the infected sprint straight past you and careen into a wall some distance behind. Each body explodes. You know what? I think I might actually recommend, because this is something I like that Aeon Trespass does, and it's like a struggle with all these games in general, is it gives you the options, and it's what you interpret as the reader doesn't always line up with what the writers are trying to convey. So in this case, by fire, kill it with fire, my assumption was from a distance rather than getting up close and personal, because my whole thing was trying to avoid getting up close and personal. So in this case, I think I am actually going to do a little retcon, and we'll dodge instead of that. So sidestepping the grotesque charge, the infected sprint straight past you and careen into a wall some distance behind. Each body explodes in a shower of black spores and guts, which you take extreme care to avoid. Turn to 30.18. The hordes of infected charge in endless waves, crashing against the quarantine. So this would actually be 2, because we didn't... There we go, cool. Crashing against the quarantine line as defenders tirelessly hack and fell the disease. There must be something driving these creatures to attack with such determination. Catching your breath between attacks, you notice your entire body is covered in black spores. Oops! That might be something that happens anyways. Check the number on the tracker die next to the morale die. Ooh, okay. If it is 1, write down infected on your free company sheet. If it's 2, which is us, write down the infested keyword on your free company sheet. If it is 3 or more, write down the plague bearer on your sheet. Okay, cool. So we are infested. Let's write that down quick. Infested. You are infected, but there is no time to mourn. If you cannot repel these attacks, you will die long before you will have the chance to worry about succumbing to the effects of the plague. Resetting your focus, you meet the next wave of infected head-on. As you chomp limbs and decapitate plague-marked heads, you spot a rolling, rising wall of flame at the rear of the horde, lashing the masses forward. When the flames part, you spot a heavily armed band of warriors cutting a path through the diseased souls. It is the Stone Dogs. The missing Free Company strides with predatory grace ahead of another figure, an old witch, but there seems to be something wrong. You can tell by the look in their eyes that the witch has somehow broken their wills and bent them to her own. So I should have chased the Stone Dogs. Fire whipping around her outstretched hands as the witch flings great gouts of incinerating flames, driving the infected before her. She must be the cause of this assault on the quarantine line, using their fear of fire to drive them like a spear into the heart of a room. She has caused all of this death. Killing her may not stop the attack, but if you can take her alive, she could be used for the keening. Regrouping with your free company, you form a vanguard and hack your way to the witch and her enslaved free company. The Stone Dogs, once your kin, now stand against you. You raise your weapons to meet theirs. The great gouts of fire cease. The witch has now focused all of her attention on you. Okay, if you have the mystery chest, open mystery box 13, which we do. Proceed to the encounter book. Cool. Very, very cool. Well, that we shall do. And we'll leave the epilogue here, so hopefully I remember to do it. And encounter 13. Ooh, Marcella the Witch. You look like one badass bee. Like a very classic, old, creepy witch lady. Cool. And these we'll leave on screen if anyone wants to read. I won't go and read them all though, because there's a bunch of stuff there. But special rules for the encounter, very cool. And here is the fight, which looks pretty interesting. So we've got the map set up there, and there are 4 question marks, which are enslaved other Oathsworn models. That's pretty cool. The 4 Oathsworn models represent the enslaved as per the special rules board. They may be represented by any models, as they will all move, attack, and defend in the same way. Oh, cool. The encounter does not have 3 stage decks of 5 cards each, instead making 5 decks of 2 cards, each positioned next to the adjacent other face down next to the encounter board. So once again, like just a really cool switch up of mechanics. Like I think it's one of the biggest strengths of this game is using its base mechanics to make really interesting, unique encounters, which is so cool. Next up, let's ask the age-old question of what's in the box. Encounter box 13. Long and slender. And this one I did paint previously. Not amazingly, mind you, just a really quick paint job, but still. Very cool. So we have, I wonder if we can actually, is that, that's not black. We have Marcella the Witch. There we go. Oh, nice and focused too. Awesome. So again, not an amazing paint job by a long shot, just really, really, really quick. But I think that's all she needs. Very witchy. And then there's also this super cool fiery thing. I'm not very good at painting fire, mind you. But again, just really, really quick. And looks pretty cool. And then she just pops right in there, which is such a neat effect. I really like that. I want to use this in like a D&D encounter or something. Too cool. Awesome, so we'll put that over there for now, and then let's look at the unique items for this. So you have Widow Weave Raiments, Empower, cool. That's like the Witch Clothes, fun stuff. Marcella's Chains, during an attack, redrop to 2 non-white cards. but reduce their deck color to white. Interesting. Widow's Might, one-handed dagger. After you draw damage, add 1 damage to the attack equal to the number of cards you have in number 2. Kinslayer, one-handed axe. The attack targets all adjacent characters. So really cool looking axe. Lost Brothers Girding. So these are focused around like killing Oathsworn. Move 1 when you use a combat token. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so sounds like pretty sweet items and thematic to the event, but not necessarily the most exciting ones. But that's still cool. Let's read the epilogue. Your last blow ends the witch's life. The fighting was too fierce to take her alive. No quarter was asked or given. She fought to the last, and it was all you could do to survive the encounter. A look at the lifeless eyes of the stone dog sends a shudder down your spine. This could have been your fate had you not killed her first. The witch may be dead, but her vengeance is not. Bells continue to ring throughout the city, warning all to flee south. The northern half of the city has been lost, and every remaining survivor will be hurrying to cross the river, praying the fortifications on the southern bank hold. If you have the Paragon on your free company sheet, turn to Epilogue 2. Okay, so yes, Paragon is what we have. Flames rise from the green streets once stood, an entire way of life now charred and destroyed. No. Write the keyword pruning on your free company sheet. Okay, pruning we have. Looking toward the north gates near the Broken Oak, you see the same signs of destruction. You only pray survivors made it out of there in time and fled safely across the river. The one saving grace is you were able to rescue the refugees in the market. They surely would not have made it safety, or they surely should have made it to safety by now. Mute Boy, yeah, I don't think we have the Mute Boy. Then turn to Epilogue 5. With a heavy heart, you instruct everyone you see to head south. Streams of humanity pour across the green bridges spanning the gutters. As the last group makes it across, hundreds of torches fly over the stone walls. Huge tongues of orange flames roar up from the dried-up riverbed, incinerating hundreds of infected, clawing their way up the bank. The northern part of the city has been lost to the plague. With your task complete, you take a seat on a pile of old crates north of the bridge and watch for a room burn. You could not have crossed the bridge yourself, not with the plague coursing through your veins. There is no safety for you anywhere anymore. You have been infected. Oof! End of chapter 13. That is pretty cool. That is quite the chapter. I am curious what would have happened if we went into the infected district first, and if we could have prevented all of that. I don't think so, though. Let's look at the other epilogue just for fun. So if we went, you fought back the infected and slayed... Oh! You're both breached. Yeah, okay, so that would have been Broken Oak destroyed. Yeah, so basically there was no option that saved more. It was all death and destruction. But such is the way of grim dark worlds, that is for sure. And yeah, that is going to wrap up today's little video. So thank you for joining me on this Oathsworn Storytime sojourn, slowly trekking through the remainder of the campaign. And yeah, I gotta say, the story is freaking sweet. I do have the critique that every now and then it feels like a little, railroady. But at the end of the day, such cool worlds, and there's so many different moving pieces involved, but it keeps you on a really interesting track. So yeah, big time like, and it's awesome to be able to still get through the story, even though I'm not playing the encounters. Yay! Well, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye!